So how's it going, everyone? Welcome to the Coastal Combat Preview. My name's Daniel Maudsley. I am the MC and play-by-play commentator for Coastal Combat, and of course I'm here with our promoter, Joel Szepesvary. Joel, how's it going?
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Very good.
Daniel.
Yeah, look, excited to talk through the main card here today. Kicking things off, obviously, with the main event, and what a main event we have in store. Obviously, Ty Duncan puts his professional welterweight championship on the line when he locks horns with Matt Myers. Now, Ty Duncan, of course, needing no introduction to the Coastal Combat fans. He's fought on the promotion several times. Actually made his pro debut all the way back at Coastal Combat 1, and of course winning the title there at Coastal Combat 6. Taking on the very, very experienced and, well, perhaps a bit light on experience, but I'll tell you what, he's certainly not light on when it comes to skills. Matt Myers, only 2-1 in his pro career, but certainly made some waves. Give me a little chat about this particular main event and how it came together.
Well, originally we were looking for an opponent for Ty. The Coastal Combat 9 was slated for earlier on in the year, and we had a few delays, and we were looking around for opponents, and there wasn't much slim pickings in Queensland for guys putting their hand up to fight Ty. So we were looking outwards, and the team at Adrenaline, Chris Brown and his crew, they put their hand up, and I think, on paper I thought I didn't think they would take the fight, but they took it, and it's going to be a cracker. He's a tough guy.
Yeah, very tough. And one thing that I really like about this matchup is that the clash of styles, when you take into account the backgrounds of the gyms, and I guess to elaborate on that a little bit more, obviously Ty Duncan 5-2 as a pro, all 5 of those wins coming by way of submission. And you mentioned there Matt Myers training out of Adrenaline MMA under Chris Brown, and Chris, of course, a multiple-time Australian representative at the Olympics in wrestling. So obviously, Matt Myers is going to be up to the task when it comes to the wrestling, and it'll be interesting to see what Ty Duncan's game plan is when he gets in there, if he's going to look to try and put his recently awarded black belt to use, or if he's going to be having to keep this one on the feet and perhaps show the fans a little bit more of his striking.
Yeah, well, that's what's going to, I think, the hope for the fans that have paid money to see Ty Duncan, the Tyborg, several times, but unfortunately he makes light work of them. He can't put a full 3 minutes together, let alone 5 minutes in the Coastal Combat cage. So yeah, look, I think the fans want to get their money's worth, but I think who knows how it's going to play out. We've got Tyborg versus the Mad Dog Matt Myers. Ty's fought a few guys. He won the Eternal pro welterweight title against Tristan Mad Dog Murphy. He put away Jimmy the Dog O'Brien at Eternal with a nice little there was a omoplata rear naked choke sequence, and so we've got the Mad Dog here. I think I'm concerned I'm going to get some phone calls from the RSPCA when Ty Duncan's finished with the Mad Dog. So he does love animals. It's just unfortunate that his opponents carry those nicknames.
Very interesting common thread there in a lot of Ty's opponents, and yeah, look, excited to see our main event there. Big fan of both guys, and will be very interesting to see what kind of game plan both of them look to try and pursue. Now, moving down to our co-main professional lightweight bout. Originally, we had David Martinez, the Coastal Combat lightweight champion, scheduled to make his first defence of his lightweight title against Aiden Aguilera. An unfortunate rib injury to David Martinez saw him fall off the card, but I tell you what, with all respect to David Martinez, the replacement fight may be just as good, as we see the talented grappler Jack Becker step up on short notice. Give me a little bit of info about this one, Joel.
Yeah, well, look, this fight, Perth versus Melbourne is probably the two furthest points away from Queensland, as far as fight gyms go and opponents. But look, it's all a bit circumstantial, and the fight community has kind of had to we've had to get things done over the last 12 to 18 months with COVID. So this is a situation where Becker's jumped at the chance. Becker's coach, Ben Vickers from Scrappy MMA, is they wanted the fight. He's had 2 fight camps fall over, and they were chomping at a bit to get this. And the same thing with Aiden Aguilera. He's a fighter, and fighters fight, and the way he saw it was one good grappler out, and another good grappler in, and you know, this fight came together really smooth, and yeah, I'm excited. Being excited about grappling battles. You know, I love to see that, and you know, this one, you know, really, this is one that I'll really sit down. Well, I won't actually sit down. I'll sit down and watch this afterwards because I'll be out the back with the tie ball. But look, this will be one that, you know, this will be one for the books, I think, and I'm proud to be putting this fight together. I think it's going to be exciting for the grappling fans.
Yeah, I think that the grappling is the key word here. Of course, Aiden Aguilera just, I believe, last week awarded his black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, so big congratulations there to Aiden, and of course Jack Becker, a brown belt, but I tell you what, he is as high a level brown belt as they come, former ADCC trials medalist. And one kind of storyline that I really enjoy with this fight is towards the end of 2017, Jack Becker was riding high, 7-0 I believe at the time, hit a couple of stumbling blocks in his career at the start of 2018 and 2017, but look, coming into the end of 2017, he was the hottest prospect in Australian MMA, and after those couple of losses, took a few years off to regroup, and I tell you what, he looks like he's in phenomenal shape, and he's really sharpening the skill set there with the team at Scrappy MMA, and working his jiu-jitsu, I believe, with Rod Costa and the team at Costa Academy. So I think everyone's hoping that one just hits the ground at some point, and we get to see the two grapplers go at it.
Yeah, that'll be, well, it's not to take away from Aiden's striking, it's just, yeah, I'd personally I'd like to see him grapple, but look, yeah, I think you're putting that wrestling from the Adrenaline crew, and you know, like on paper, you look at their records, and you know, this is probably one of the best fights, and you know, to put together in the lightweight division. So you know, like we're just lucky we can put it together under the Coastal Combat banner.
And I tell you what, if you haven't already, do yourself a favour and go back and look at Jack Becker's fight against Callum Potter, because that was an absolute barn burner. And while Jack didn't end up taking home the W that night, I tell you what, he certainly delivered for the fans. So once again, that co-main event, very excited for that one. Moving down the card, the first of our professional bouts, we'll see Wade Sclater taking on Greg Hearn, and this is a very interesting fight. It's almost a bit of a throwback, this one, in the sense that when it comes to Wade, there's a lot that we don't know. He's spent a fair few years outside of the cage now, coming in with a 4-1 record. But I tell you what, if the narrative that his teammates and coaches are advancing is to be believed, then this could certainly be a don't blink type of scenario.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So it's an interesting one. You know, I'm not sure if his last fight was 2012 or 2014, but it's a few years. So interesting to see how he puts it together. He's you know, he's matured. He's put on a bit of size since then. You know, I think his only loss was it to Ben Wall.
Yeah, UFC veteran Ben Wall.
So you know, that was at lightweight. So it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together. How he's made some improvements over the years. So you know, he's been training. So yeah, and then we enter Greg Hearn from Cardioflex over in Adelaide, and he's dropping down. So he's coming down from heavyweight to light heavyweight. You know, looking at his progress on social media, he's looking lean. You know, he's looking in good shape, and yeah, like I think this one could be a bit of an explosive barn burner. I think both guys like to bang, and Judd, looking at their little questionnaires, and I think neither of them made any secret, and they're looking for the TKO. So
yeah, and you know, I think strength of schedule really comes to mind when you look at Greg Hearn's record. Obviously, like you mentioned, Joel, fighting most of his career at heavyweight, but he's shared a cage with the likes of Ben Sassoli, Ricky Beecham, Sam Kai, basically the best heavyweights that Australia has to offer. So certainly not backing away from any challenges, and he's looking for another one come Coastal Combat 9. So that tops off our professional portion of the main card. Then have 3 very exciting amateur title fights as well, kicking things off for the main card. And I guess we'll start with Deegan McGarren versus Cooper Royal for the bantamweight title. So interesting backstory to this one. Of course, Cooper Royal, the current flyweight champion in Coastal Combat, so he is looking to become the promotion's first champ. And Deegan McGarren had a fight scheduled with Scott Nicholson back, I believe, on Coastal Combat 7. And that was originally supposed to be for the bantamweight title. An unfortunate weight miss saw Deegan ineligible to win the belt that night, but did go on to beat Scott Nicholson with a beautiful triangle choke there. So pretty interesting on this one. And look, it's a cliche to say, but another classic clash of styles.
Yeah, it is a clash of styles. You know, I think Cooper's he kind of wowed everyone when he kind of burst onto the scene. I think Coastal Combat 5, or maybe 4, I believe.
His first win over Angus Jones. Yeah.
Yeah, he was throwing spinning shit. He was. I remember just all that night, and in the messages I was getting afterwards, great show. Who was that little kid with the top knot? He was amazing, and yeah, like I went back and I got to watch the fight, and yeah, he impressed a lot of people. So you got that with coupled with Deegan's his slick submission game that he's been kind of nurturing up there at Rhino MMA. Both gyms from Rocky Yapoon. So these guys have trained together before. This is exciting. This is an exciting one. This is exactly what I try to achieve when it comes to matching fights. I want to debut fighters. I want to get them several fights with the promotion. The crowd knows exactly who they are, win or lose. Or fighters lose, I want to see them come back and get a win in front of the crowd. Fighters win, I want to see them move on towards a title or move on to pro, and I want to develop the fighters like that. I don't want to just pick and choose one fighter here and there. It's like home and away and having a new character every single day. It's just not really good for the fans. You want to be invested in a fighter, and that's what we like to do at Coastal Combat. We just want to kind of build a story behind them.
Yeah.
And that's what kicks it. And that's like, whether you like them or hate them, you've seen them grow, you've seen their ups and downs in the cage, and people want to tune in for that.
Yeah,
so
and
this is a good one for us.
And I think, just touching on that point, you have done a fantastic job building these two in particular. Like you mentioned, just the classic clash of styles, the beautiful striking of Cooper Royal, and like you mentioned, that opportunistic submission game of Deegan McGurran. Seen all of his wins in the cage come by way of submission. So excited to see how that one plays out in the bantamweight division, and he'll be walking away with that title. Jumping down, we will then see, prior to that, we will see Julian Prowse looking to make a defence of his amateur featherweight title against Jaden Dalrymple. And Julian, a real staple of the Sunshine Coast mixed martial arts scene for several years now. But I'll tell you what, I'm pretty intrigued by the challenger here, Jaden Dalrymple. We saw him compete back at Coastal Combat 2, I believe it was, in his debut, when he was just 16 years of age, put in a fantastic fight with Ash Peacock that went the full 3 rounds. Didn't see him inside the MMA cage for several years since Coastal Combat 8. He re-enters and absolutely blows the doors off Caleb Miller with locking up a rear naked choke within about 60-odd seconds. So Jaden Dalrymple's still a bit of a mystery, I think it's fair to say. Yeah, well, look, I wasn't surprised. I know he'd been up there training with Dave Garnham, and just seeing him checking in, and he's getting a little bit, as he got a little bit older, a bit more mature. He's, I can see his physique start to come in. He's always I've always seen him in those photos, and so I knew he was consistent. So when he came back for his return, I wasn't surprised with his athleticism, and just how they're obviously doing something right up there at Mackay. They've got a pretty good record when it comes to titles. They've got a couple of my belts up there, so they've got some of those nice white leather belts sitting up there in Mackay. So I think they're trying to collect a third, and with Julian Prowse, he's so calm. He's pressure grappling. Just when you think that you're back to your feet, you're back down on the ground. So he's lovely to watch as well. So it's effortless the way he grapples against the cage. So yeah, I think effortless is a really good way to describe Julian Prowse. All due respect to the champ, when it comes to that pressure wrestling, I don't think there's anyone in the division that can match Julian in that particular element. So very interesting clash of styles there. And if Jaden's game plan is to submit Julian Prowse, people have tried that before and they've been in for a long night. So very excited to see how that one plays out. And kicking off the main card, we will see the current Coastal Combat Amateur welterweight champion, Declan the Wolf Wolfenden, look to make the first defence of his title against Victor Lyle. And of course, fans will remember the Wolf, Declan Wolfenden, from his main event victory over Hayden Buckman last time out, getting the first round Von Flue choke victory. Yeah. So a submission that we're starting to see a little bit more in MMA, even at the highest levels. In the UFC, it seems to be popping its head up a little bit more. So relatively rare, but certainly getting style points there and winning the title.
Yeah, well, exactly. And then he got away with the submission of the night for that one too. It was a short little. We didn't get to see much of him. we know he's got talent. The guy's integrated Sunshine Coast. They speak very highly of him. So yeah, look, it'll be interesting to see how his reign goes. He's coming up against the Victor Lyle. So you know, I think he's had 9. It's three fights versus 9 fights. The experience is definitely tipping the scales in Victor's side. It's going to be a good test for the champ. So the Wolf is going to have his work cut out for him. But look, that's what these championship fights are about. We want to see who the best welterweight is, amateur welterweight is in the country. And you know, I think, judging by their resumes, I think this will be a decider. So you know, if the Wolf can send Victor Lyle packing, then it's going to be hard to argue with his claim there. But you know, on the other hand, we've seen Victor in some all-out wars, and I don't want to steal all your notes here, so I'll let
Oh no, well look, I think you've touched on everything there, Joel. You know, I mean, you know, obviously Declan 3-0, undefeated, and really hasn't looked like he's been in too much trouble in his short career. He's dealt with all of his opponents accordingly, and you know, like you alluded to there, I mean, Victor is the definition of an action fighter. It's quite funny. After one of Victor's fights that I commentated, I actually spoke briefly to one of his coaches, Ryan Dunstan, and Ryan was shaking his head and said he can never just have an easy fight. Every fight he wants to have, he just wants to turn it into an absolute war, and I think that's why he's so beloved by the fans, and that's why every time Victor Lyle's fighting, I'm tuning in.
Yeah.
So look, that caps off our main card, and what a main card it is. Titles from top to bottom, professional, amateur, we've got it all. Very excited for things to go down. Joel, I know there's been some perhaps concerns about the COVID regulations, but we're pretty much bulletproof when it comes to that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. We had an opportunity to go back indoors, but I made the decision to move it to April, be in an outdoor venue here, the Nambour Showgrounds, and it's a football field size roof. You know, so rain can't stop us. You know, weather's not really an issue. We can have at least in stage 3 restrictions, which we can have at least 500 people in there, and that's at the 1 per 4 metre squared, which hasn't been like that outdoors since the thick of it last in 2020. So we've you know, we're looking good for that, and I just didn't want to. I don't like the idea of risking fighters fight camps. You know, they make a lot of sacrifices. Coaches made a lot of sacrifices, so it'd be cheaper for me to go indoors. But as far as giving the fighters, giving the teams some you know, guarantee that the fight will actually go ahead, you know, rather than just, you know, it rains, shows off type scenario, I can't do that. So you know, we spent the money, we've got the premium outdoor venue, we've got plenty of space, and I think it's going to be an absolute cracker.
Well, rain, hail, shine, or global pandemic, will be there. Coastal Combat 9, April 17th, like Joel mentioned, at the Nambour Showgrounds. Tickets, where do people need to go?
So just Facebook, Insta, any one of the links on there any one of our posts will have a link directly to the tickets, and you know, just get in there and fire away. We're going to be all seated, so just get in there, pick your seats, and enjoy the show. Enjoy
the show. So thanks for tuning in. If you've made it this far through the video, we hope that we've got you even just a fraction more excited for what promises to be another fantastic night under the Coastal Combat banner. Thanks guys, we'll see you April 17th.